Hello everybody and welcome back to Wappelville and day 2 of Virtual ReaperCon. Hope everybody's doing good, and we've got ourselves a whole bunch of Reaper figures to paint. I think we're gonna stick with the oils for today, and we've got a bunch of stuff prepped here. So I think this is a Sophie from ReaperCon's past. We do have her on the brand new Green Stuff World texture roller here. So this is your elf roller. We've got another little figure right here. This is on the new dwarf roller. Same idea right here. I think he's probably a cleric, something like that. We've got another, this one's more of a classic Reaper figure right here. It goes back, oh my gosh, I don't know how many years this one goes back. I think this is still a Monique Denoir actually. With this one here, I want to get this one painted up so that later on we can do some waterfall stuff. So that should be very fun too. We got another kind of older figure here. Actually, this one goes back a ways. Hey, we got Armored Wolf, the Intrepid Moderator, back. So, yeah, I definitely have to try and come up with some kind of interesting logos for all of those army, even like the Lumineth and stuff, and see what I can do with that. So here, these are, where's the other one? These are the new Gen 3 plastics here by Reaper. Hey, Primal Ace, how are you doing? This is one that we painted last night. Again, this is also one of those new Gen 3 plastics. Working with the oils like we do. I think I can actually maybe turn my brightness down just a bit because we're going to be getting started on figures. So that's a little better. So Primal Ace, how are you doing? Oh, and Rocky's War Room. So folks, yes, we'll be sure to join me. It was at the 22nd, 23rd. Well, Rocky's going to be doing the heavy lifting there, streaming for 24 hours, or yeah, that's going to be fun. He's going to be painting his armies, and I will be painting lots of stuff, most likely some bolt action things. And Snow Treasure, now, hey Snow Treasure, did you get the email that I sent you? Thanks for the subscription there. I sent you off your Patreon video link, so hopefully those showed up. If they didn't, I'll try and get that after we're done here. Now, we did do some other things last night. We had to finish off 2 more of these guys. That's good. So on Twitch and YouTube. That's going to be fantastic. You'll be using your StreamYard, right? Is Big Bad B in the house? Hey, how are you doing? So folks, give Big Bad B a follow too. And we got Marty Mar. Yeah, this what we're trying to do now. Yeah, we got Numbskull too. We're trying to. She's gonna pass off her audience. One Wappel to the next. It's gonna be like a relay race. Just gonna be like this horse race. Shh, don't get too dizzy. Wonder if the camera could actually track that. So we were working on these guys. These are the last 2 of the 4th Dothraki unit. Oh, I got Chrissy Lids in the house too. How are you doing? Yeah, StreamYard Pro 1080p. Let's see. Tried oils for the first time. You got questions. Well, that's good because we're going to be painting with oils again. Actually, this is the same palette we had out yesterday. Oh, hey, Spectrum. How are you doing? Now, I think what we're going to still do... Where's the one that has... I think I might still mess around with this one because we can do some more object source lighting just like this. I was thinking about bringing out this one though because we could try some brighter colors, some purples and such. We haven't really done that with oils on a smaller figure. We've done it on some of the crazy big giant beasties and stuff. I think we all caught up on everybody here? I think we are. Now, as always, we start with the One True Brush. We had several showings of the One True Brush last night. The biggest question was making the blending smooth, getting rid of the brush strokes. Egyptian Violet, Numbskull knows. Wait, I thought Nessie knows, but Numbskull knows too. Where's our... there it is. There's your Egyptian Violet. Also known as diazonine purple or dioxanine purple or whatever, and I think Gamlin and Windsor Newton. So this is a previous example, that's that Egyptian violet right there. I mean, is that not a nifty, nifty color? Really fun. It's basically a little bit like indigo blue and terra rosa texture-wise. So these blending brushes right here, Snow Trudger, that is really the big key. Let's see, reassembling. Oh, Harbor and Steamback. Is that how you pronounce those? So Spectrum, I hope everything is going well. Let's just start messing around with some things here. What we're gonna do, I can hear Kathy's just about ending. Now look at this Bilbo's brush doing the gift sub thing, which means a happy dance by Wappel here. Now should he just be looking at the screen like this when people come in? He's like, "Woo, yeah, I'm here, baby. Welcome in." What we're gonna do is take some Van Dyke Brown. So this is that initial preparation. Oh look. Now I just found me a piece of pink foam on here from the last basing video, which looks like about 60% rendered, maybe 64% rendered. I wish I had thought about getting this Van Dyke Brown much sooner, because it's pretty darn nice. I really like this. Oh, and I think I've mentioned that the Ivory Black from the Williamsburg starter set is a little bit nicer than the Ivory Black from the Winton starter set. Is it a surprise? It shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, one costs 4 times as much as the other, so that shouldn't really be a surprise. Is the Ivory Black just fine? It is. How many years have I been using it? 3, almost 4. Actually, well, technically by the end of this month, it'll be 4 years that I've been using that. It sounds like Kathy is saying goodnight, so we should get ready for some raids. So Bilbo's brush, how are you doing? And hopefully she sees the message that I sent her that there's food on the stove. I'm going to have to get some more burnt umber out here. Yeah, we'll do him with regular middle arm so that our object source lighting shows up just a bit more here. Who dares enter my domain? I think that's a Kathy. Fee fi fo fum. I smell a Kathy. Kathy's in the house. Well, Kathy is in the house. She's probably going to go eating food pretty soon, like right now. Since that's sitting on the stove waiting for her. We have a Felonious Monk and a Vliger Dragon. And a Cybstorm. Sorry about that. Those stupid spell checker things. Now, we have been, of course, eating more of the delicious and delectable peanut butter squares. That's just what we call them here. Peanut butter squares. They are fantastic. I intend on eating more because, well, more is always good, especially when it comes to dessert. Now I'm just going to try and find me my burnt umber. So how are all of you guys doing? How you doing, Vliger Dragon? I like my umber raw and wriggling. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like raw umber, raw and wriggling? Now burnt umber, of course, that's the cooked version. So now that's like the ruined version then. Ooh, brown matter. We didn't use this either. Let's get this out on the palette here. Where are we gonna stick you? We'll just stick you right over here. We'll use some of that. So folks, we are going to be doing a whole bunch of Reaper figures here, and of course we're going to be doing them in oils. This one's going to have some brighter colors, and these are both sitting on 2 of the new Green Stuff World texture rollers. So you got your elf roller here, you got your dwarf roller there, and another dwarf roller here on a Gen 3 plastic, which I believe this is the one that Kathy was painting. Oh, thanks again, Bilbo's brush. I appreciate it. Now we got the real brush guy in here. Yeah, those peanut butter brownies, they were pretty darn tasty. So this is another one of those Gen 3 plastics, which apparently this has been in the Learn to Paint set for years, but it's a new type of plastic, And it definitely has some sharper details on it.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my gun.
Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Strange. Thanks, and obviously Gandalf appreciates it too. He likes all the little hobbitses. So we did this in oils last night, among other things. But the shields are a little less flexible. Yeah, things just in general with these guys are less flexible. You can see how crispy the face is on this guy, and on this guy too. So I think there is a, I don't know, which is a quality difference or whatever. Yes, but we learned to paint it. See, this is what happens when you get the Learn to Paint set and you grab your oils and you paint for the very first time. This is exactly how it looks every single time. This is what comes out of the box. Absolutely every single time. Oh, here's a couple other things that we were painting last night. We had to finish off a couple of horsies here from Song of Ice and Fire. And we obviously wanted to show the power of the oils and how you can just get that nice quick rapid blending. Get some really fun colors in the shadows, like the greens that you see on this horse. So you got that kind of bluish gray on the face, and then more of the tan, almost fleshy tones everywhere else. And this one here, you can see we got some cooler grays also on his face and on his neck. Let's see, Samurai Jack in the house. Hey, how are you doing? And Dr. Feedgood in the house. Let's see, wait, my starter set must have been broken. Yeah, I think you need to order a new one, because if it doesn't come out like this right out of the starter set, I don't know, there's something wrong. I think you need to reorder another starter, or they just need to replace it. You say, this is not what I wanted in the contents. This is not the contents that I ordered. So over here, what we're doing right now is our little pre-glaze thing. We are taking some Payne's gray right now. It's kind of a bluish, dark bluish gray. Have to figure out what we're going to do cloak-wise on him. We're also going to grab a little touch of our indigo as well. That nice thing with the oils is everybody knows we don't have to be scurrying around with our hair on fire. Like, oh my gosh, we got to wipe all this stuff away or it's going to dry. Nah, we don't have to worry about that.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my gun.
Do we have Slim Pastor? How are you doing? Thank you so much for the follow. Let's see, Strange 1979. That should be from the starter set. Let's see. And Patacane, do you even sleep? Huh. I believe when I did get to sleep, it was 6:25 or so in the morning. So that was it was an interesting evening last night. That's for sure. It was a long one. We got our indigo and our grays, and then we're gonna grab ourselves another little starting up brush here. And speaking of Felonious, we'll grab some Felonious red here. But looky here, it's a good thing all the raids come at once, because we're just getting started here and it's going to be a little bit easier introducing the new folks as we get started here, instead of like 10 minutes from now. Alright, so welcome Raiders, how's everybody doing? Let's see, a dead loader, that's a good, oh, and Giggling Geekette, how are you doing? Hey, NG Laminas. Ruffles Minis. Now that's another thing that makes you hungry right there. Screen names that make you hungry. Oh, we got Nerd House. Hey, how are you doing, Anna? Wait a minute. Do we have a JJ Beard? We have a JJ Beard sighting. That could be dangerous. Oh, and Velfera, again, tell me if I'm pronouncing that right, because I know there is no O in the... neither one of the zeros are pronounced. Ah, look at this. A thistle in the house? Man, there's just... How do all these people get in here? What the heck is going on? And Damiel, too. Ah, that's good. At least I got that one right. We have a Melite as well. So, thank you so much. So, how did the stream go? I hope there was lots of stuff going on.
So say we all.
Now, Felonious Monk is going to be doing the gift subs. We got gift subs on the way. And I will show you. Ah, good.
So say we all.
And also, yes, give Giggling Geeget the follow too. Hey, Holt Mini Paint, how are you doing? So, this is the brand new Elf texture roller from
So
Green
say
Stuff
we
World.
all.
And it has been rolled out with some gray extra firm Sculpey, just like this piece right here. This, I believe, is the Chaotic Ruins. Yeah, probably Chaotic Ruins or something like that. Thanks again, Fluence, for all of those gift subs. It's appreciated. Oh, and Reaper John, too. Look at that. It's the Reaper gift sub fever. So I got extra gray, extra firm gray Sculpey rolled out on a ceramic tile in your oven. Using this roller, they also sell some rubber guides that help you keep it nice and even. And we got Dr. Feedgood with the cheering and the bitses, which means he's still going to grab that. And he does say, thank you so much for all those gift subs. So right now, as we get started, we are messing around with a wee bit of phthalo blue and some of our lovely purple. Doing something we call just a pre-glaze or preparation glaze, as we sometimes more humorously have referred to it as. It just all looks very dark right now. Armored Wolf getting in on the Act 2. Thank you so much, and folks, be sure to check out Armored Wolf's Instagram and their Etsy page, because guess what? Dice bags. You've seen Kathy's dice bag. Not quite so sure if you've seen the dice bag that I have, but they are fantastic. Now we get Dr. Feedgood's cheer sound. I was hoping that you wouldn't be denied your cheer sound, because that would be sad. But thank you so much, Dr. Feedgood. And Loim too. Hey, what did you, oh, it's Panic Cane doing the subscription thing. Thank you so much, everybody. We're just going to keep hammering away here on this pre-glaze as we have all kinds of subs and fun things that are happening. They really do help the channel. I think I see an Angry Ham here too. Deadloader remembers being called a dice bag once.
So say we all.
Now, for the last part of this here, we're going to shift back to... we're going to stay with our Van Dyke Brown here. We'll try and do something interesting maybe with our colors on this. Oh, no, Dr. Figa with the cheer again. It's a cheering contest. It is a cheering contest. A Glory Hound. And Kit Quartz with the follow. Thank you so much. So, folks, what we're going to do is we're just going to get these covered up here. And then we're going to break out some makeup sponges. Yes, actual makeup sponges. Oh, look at this. It is a contest. It's a bits war. It's a bits war for sure. He says, wait a minute. Where's all these bits coming from? Oh, they're just coming from all the generous folks that help support the channel. We also have to have a shout out for Al Capone, who last night supported the channel in a massive way. And that is still appreciated. And of course, we thank Bill Robertson for the vittles. All right, this and this, they are both covered. They are ready to go. Now, we shall, over the course of this stream, turn something like this into something just like this, because that's exactly how this started last night in the stream. We've got our makeup sponges here. Very basic, just pennies on the dollar on Amazon. And Cutthroat in the house, too. Oh, Armored Wolf doing the cheers and the bits. He's like, man, there's just all kinds of stuff coming into my little glass right here. Yep, you can't see me. You can't see me. I'm looking up. We got a hype train. Look at that. A couple of ways we can use our sponges. See, we can cut these into smaller pieces, especially when we're working on well, smaller things like this. Now, they can even help you too on larger things like this. Now, this is somewhat larger. We painted this with oils, I think it was either last week. No, it was 2 weekends ago. Here, let's back out just this touch here. So this Miniatures Chimera, this was all done with oils. And guess what? This started out exactly the same way. You can see all the really nifty colors that we were able to get into the wing here. So this was painted during the course of about a 9-hour stream from start to finish. And you can still watch this because now it's a permanent highlight. Yes, we know how to make permanent highlights. Now he's not going to be so tiny. Let's zoom in on him just a bit. Well, if we're going to have a cheer war, you might as well have a cheer war. So we have ourselves some fresh little good sponges here. Well, now we just wipe some of this away. But see how much stays behind. It's also going to depend on what colors you are using. Some oil colors, you would call them a staining color. You can experiment by getting them on your clothes, and if they don't come out, they're a staining color. And there are several that would do that. Well, not that acrylic or watercolors wouldn't do the same thing, because they just might. But now that we've wiped away a lot of our little pre-glaze here, let's see what that looks like compared to one of our prime miniatures. So see what we've got now. Just a hint of color. It's not just enhancing the shading, we also have the color as well. So Earl, that's the tea that Kathy loves. Oh, thanks, Holt Mini Paint. Let's see, Nerdhouse is going to have to get me a paint of oil stain test parts. Pants. There. Well, that would be... I have tested all of the staining colors for sure. I've tested every single one of them. See how we have just our nice little purple there. Again, we're going to use our makeup sponges. Take some of this away. Now on the wings, we didn't really use a staining color there. We used the Terra Rosa, which, as much as I love it, it's not going to leave behind quite as much color as, say, the purple, or a crimson, or a phthalo blue, or a phthalo green. So hopefully Kathy was able to get a lot done on her quad color challenge. I believe that's what it was called. I'll probably find out later tonight. Or if she's in the chat later on, while she's eating her supper, we also might find out. Dr. Feegood doing the bits thing. There we go. So it says 53% final level. Keep the hype going until the clock runs out. I have no idea what that message means, but it's there. So it's strange. First time seeing glaze as a primer and never seen oil painting on a miniature. So these are all primed. Nerdhouse gets in on the act too. So all of these miniatures were primed with Stynylrez, whether they're bones, whether they are metal, or resin, it doesn't matter. Look at this, an armored wolf comes back at it. So again, this is a resin figure right here, also primed with the same Badger Stynylrez. And where's our bones miniature? Where did that thing go? It's sitting around here somewhere. But I prime everything, even bones. There you are. You're hiding behind the water glass. So here's a bones miniature that we painted in oils. You can see nice, flexible scythe right there. All this painted with oils, but I just always prime the figures first. So that means we can wipe away the paint and do all kinds of fun, good stuff. Now with its primer and its pre-glaze, just like this guy right here, we're going to start to get some lighter colors on there. We did the exact same thing on our horsies here. We hit them with that same sort of pre-glaze, and then we just started to go in and add more specific colors, some lighter colors. Angryham found Stynylrez. Could buy 1 bottle and pay for an additional 2 due to shipping. Now, Angryham, it's definitely a better time to get them now before it starts getting cold. That's for sure. Yeah, the makeup sponges, Again, pennies on the dollar. I just get these off of Amazon. They're just the cosmetic sponges. Actually, here's another Bones miniature that we'll be probably finishing off today as well. Now, these are both metal right here. So what we are going to do is we're going to play with some of our greenish color. I'm going to lighten this up. And this is an important thing you're seeing right here. You are not imagining just how dry that is. Because look what happens here. Well, it's not so dry, is it? And you see how it's mixing with the purple. So see how that purple's coming off of there? This is why with the oil paints, the key critical thing is less is more. And more is way too much. When people are painting with their oils, the first way they get into trouble is that they're just using way too much paint. And it's not really their fault. It's with acrylics, you have to use a ton more paint. Because literally as soon as you put it on your brush, it's starting to dry. Which leads you to put more and more and more paint on it. And it just leads to, with oils, that just leads to some issues. So you can see how nice and dry this all is. Now we just threw some yellow ochre on there too. Let me see. Is 500 going to be enough? You'll be surprised. Well, for me, I'm almost out. I had 5. That bag you saw, I had gotten 5 of those bags. I'm down to 2 already. And I might be killing off the rest of the sponges over the next week here. So I might just have to order some more. You just reminded me. I may have to order some more. So you can see how that all of a sudden that starts to change. A little bit of color there. But all the while you can see as I scumble this on here, it's the old color is mixing with the new. Just something you always have to be aware of. Because, well, it's wet paint. Now we're going to do a similar thing over here. We're going to take a lighter color, so we're grinding that brush into the palette. Again, see just how dry that is? Now look what happens when it hits the miniature. Look at that. Look at this. But you can see our pre-glaze, that's coming off right there. Primal Ace, you cut them in half, you got 1,000. Well, you saw me, I'm basically cutting them into thirds. So you get 3,000. Kit cords, do you have a specific brand of oil paints that you like? Longtime miniature. Okay. Now, you can get this on Amazon. Now, especially if you're in the US, this is what I started with almost 4 years ago. Basically, 3 years and 11 months ago, I got this on Amazon. I think it was 26 bucks then. Now it's 28 to 30 bucks maybe. But there's 10 colors in here, and you can see there's still a fair amount left of these. And I have been using these, like I said, for almost 4 years. This is a really good place to start, right here. From there, you assess. You say, you know what kind of additional colors would I like? Now, I'm going to look and see if I can find some of my... Here we go. So things like this. So I got myself a cadmium green pale. I got indigo. I got a terra rosa. Here's another one, too, that I really, really like. So this one here, brown matter. Start with this. This will give you a hint of, you know what, I really wish I had cerulean blue, which is not in the starter set. Then you say, I really wish I had a cadmium red light. And then you can add that later on. Less is definitely more, Patty Kane. Let's see. Do you always sponge off the first layers, as Mo's asked? Yes, I always do, because it's that whole idea of less paint, less paint. It's also something that you would do if I was painting on a canvas. I'd be doing basically the exact same thing. I'd throw that initial little glaze on there like that, and then I'd be actually wiping that away. And later on, I will show you some of the 2D art that I've done over the years, and that'll kind of give you a little bit of a hint where we're coming from. And you can see, look at how it's picking up that, as much as with this we took away, look at how it's still having an effect here. on the brush. That's why I'm wiping away that initial first layer.
Say we all.
Thank you so much for the sub to Kit Quartz. Now, Kit Quartz, you can watch some of the old videos, and that's going to be really helpful for you because you'll see some of that in action. Now, we have to establish our object source lighting, right? As Samurai Jack loves the 2D. Yes, well, Samurai Jack knows us from the time where it was all 2D art. There was a time where everything was 2D art. I suppose except for painted drums, that's about it. Let's see, Spectrum. Currently a Holbein starter set for $20, used like new. That sounds interesting. And is that on Amazon? That's weird. We have Lady B, who is now awake. How are you doing? Well, technically, Angry Ham Steinorez goes by another name across the pond. It's called One Shot Primer from MiG Ammo because they're the same exact freaking thing. Because guess who makes both of them? It's just Steinorez with a different name. You see, here we were hitting it with our lighter grayish color. Now we're going to get into some of our oranges here, and we're just kind of figuring out where do we want this object source lighting to sit. Winter is coming. I've moved north, so expecting minus 30 Celsius. Now, when you get into... So minus 30 Celsius would also be minus 30 Fahrenheit, unlike, say, 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm just thinking that's how that works. Is this going to reach all the way? Maybe. Maybe not. But what we want to do is figure out exactly where this glow needs to go. But all the while, see, we're picking up more. See how that side has more orange on it than the other side. And also, this is another thing that seems to be important to mention when you're not cleaning your brushes in the traditional way, sticking them into a liquid or something like that. You're doing this. We're taking just a little paper towel here. This is what we mean by cleaning the brush. That's what we're doing. Because we want this brush to stay dry. Felonious Monks UK is back to school this week. I threw a couple colors from Marion Street in the order when I was getting the fluorescent orange. Now, is that one of the Marion Street ones? Oh, and Holt's transistor is lurking. Would be minus 22 Fahrenheit after a quick Google. Okay. And we got Drax in the house. So, folks, be sure to give Drax the follow, too. Because he loves painting with his oils. And right now he is working on his Necrons in oils. And also the Baba Yaga bust from Carol Rudjick. I believe that's how you pronounce that name. I could be wrong. See, even right there, that little tiny bit, that just got the brush real dirty. Like real super dirty there. Now what we're going to do is, now that we've kind of determined where maybe some of this glow is going to go, we need to darken some things down. Because we want object source lighting, not object source shading. They cross at minus 40. Okay. Yes, give all the follows to Drax. Hey Mo, how are you doing? Now we got some of our crimson here. There's our brown matter and some of our crimson. We're going to put these two together. One warms up the other one. They both have a little bit of one's got a ton of translucency. One maybe just a touch less. And yes, this is a glaze over wet oils. And you can see we're not going to brush this on in the traditional sense. You see how we're just touching the brush here? Literally just touching the brush to it. It's going to flow all by itself. I can bring up my brightness now because we have gotten our little pre-glazes onto these things. Let me see. So I didn't see, okay. Book of Wappel. right here. What are we talking about? The Book of Wappel. Well, you're going to hear this an awful lot. This is our very first chapter right here. If a color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. And that's going to be the case on every single one of these miniatures. What are we starting with here? We're starting with our craft brushes, not the sable brushes. Decision versus precision. You can be as precise as you want with your brush strokes, but if you can't decide what you want to do with them, that's going to be trouble for you. And there's a lot of people that are starting out with their oils for the first times. Well, you got to get on that boat if you want to do that discovery. Oh, and look at this. You must have dark to show the light. Did we not just say that? Are we not doing that right now? We're doing that with our glazing right here. Again, trying to work in some darks here to make all of this object source lighting stand out. Otherwise, again, it's going to be object source shading, and we don't want that. Object source shading is not terribly useful. Not super useful. So now we've gotten some additional shading there. We can give this a few minutes, just do its thing. We set that one aside. That's why we work on multiple figures at one time. It's a red from Marion Street. Never seen it before, so I figured I'd give it a try. It's supposedly unparalleled by other organic reds. It gives cadmium a run for its money as the usurpable king of reds. Oh, Pyrrole red is good. I think I have... do I have that? Oh, no, never mind. That's a Perline red. Similar, but different. Now here we need to get into our, again, our lighter colors. Let's get in a little bit of Terra Rosa here. Let's get some light onto our wings. You can see the other thing that happens with our craft brush is how it kind of turns into a filbert style brush. Look at this. Look what's happening here. You can see a nice general brush stroke there. Let me see, $25. Yeah, they are 55 mil tubes, so more pricey, but also bigger. And working with that pre-glaze. See, we can even get a little bit of this on the skin tone now. And you can see, look at how that starts to change. It starts to change, picking up more and more of our... See how we pick up some of that purple in the pre-glaze? That means what do we got to do? We got to go back here. We have to get some more. Might even lighten that up just a tad. The other thing with the oils is don't think about layering. That's another part of the Book of Wappel. We'll get to that chapter. But the oils kind of layer themselves. You can jump layers. You can skip layers with the oils. You're not stuck with just, okay, here's layer 1, here's layer 2, which is slightly lighter than layer 1, here's layer 3, which is slightly lighter than layer 2. You can jump out ahead. How do you jump out ahead? We can do that. Here, let's just play around here. Let's get some kind of a pinkish red here. Let's just do this. We could do something like this and just kind of short circuit all of that notion. So we just plopped some color on there, right? You say, what in the world just happened there? That's horrible. What'd you just do? What we just did is we set up our blending brush here to do something like this. So again, nasty hard line. Nasty hard line. There's no conceivable way that you could blend that into something that was absolutely looked like it was just airbrushed or anything like that. There's no way you could do anything like that. It's impossible. Oh, wait. Look what we just did. We just skipped several layers, right? We have ourselves a nice smooth blend there in just a matter of seconds. Not hours, not minutes, but seconds. And we still have some of our original color left. You could put 2 colors out there. Here, let's grab ourselves our other brush here. Let's maybe try some green over here. Something a little bit different. Something a little bit different. Because guess what? The green and the purple will make a gray, which we don't mind. Oh, we have, let's see, Primal Ace. Up unexpected in the house. How'd you sneak in here? Pinker and more transparent than cadmium. I think the Fanchon Red is Pyrrole Red. Well, this is the Fanchon Red or Felonious Red, which is very opaque. So this one is opaque here. And if we look at our, I do believe Fanchon Red is on here. Yes, it is. So there's your Fanchon Red. Definitely an opaque. Look at that. So folks, when you're using oil paints, this is something you have to keep in mind. Some of your lightest colors that are typically more transparent in acrylics, well, guess what? Those are your opaques. The colors that you think of as opaque in acrylic paints, guess what? They're transparent. Now, here's the other nice thing is that with this, I can just take my time. I don't have to rush into this blending whatsoever. Let's see now how that has a little bit of a greenish tint to it. And we just blend that in. Again, you can sort of skip layers. You're not just trapped, locked into that same old, oh my gosh, it has to be one layer at a time. Why don't we do maybe a little bit of our gold? It looks like she's wearing some armor here. Let's make it gold. And it's really handy that we have our yellow going over some purple, because purple really makes gold. So look at, you can see that purple starting to get onto the brush. So we'll clean some of that away, but just like before, see how we have a minimal amount of paint on that brush? Oh yes, Primal Ace, you can't paint details with it either. There's absolutely no way in the world you could possibly paint any of that stuff in oils or that freehand. And folks, if you want to see how this was done, actually the first part of this is on the YouTube channel, but you can also still watch the VODs. This was all painted in oils, all the snakes, the skin, all the little textures in freehand, all done in oils, wet into wet, just like we're doing right now. And that was an Artisan Guild figure for those who are curious. So I'm counting on the fact that this is going to blend here. See how that purple gets into there? Make sure gold's, well, that much more like gold's and less like, well, Imperial Fist yellow, because that's not so helpful. We'll also make these metal too, just for the heck of it. Let's see. Darth Jameson asks if I wanted to give oils a try. Is there a starter set you can recommend? Especially if you're in the US, this is the set that I got almost 4 years ago. 3 years, 11 months ago, I got this. You can see how much is left, and I use these all the time. 4 years I've been using these. There is even a smaller starter set here that has, I believe there's 6 of them in here. That's about $18. Do we have Gurnathiel in here? We do have Gurnathriel. How are you doing? Yes, Numbskull, it is inconceivable. Inconceivable. Should that be? No. Okay, we got flowers here. That's probably going to be a metal there. What about this? What should that be? No, we'll leave this to be the end of the art, and then we'll do something else for that color. And by that, I mean, let's grab a little bit of our white here, a little touch of our blue. And we're just going to play around with this here. Again, we're back to our larger brushes, letting that paint just mix itself. Working with some pinks, some blues. Looks like Mohawk Miniatures has just chosen to enter our domain. Mohawk Miniatures, so folks, be sure.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Speaking of follows, thank you for the follow, Mohawk Miniatures. And folks, be sure to return the favor and give Mohawk Miniatures the follows too. Well, thanks so much
Hello,
for the
little
raid.
hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Let's see, MC and Datsun Des. See how many colors would be in a hypothetical. That is yet to be determined. I do believe it would be some multiples of 6s, so probably 12, 12, 18, 24, something along those. That seemed to be the best way to go, working in those multiples of 6s. CX Turbo, how are you doing? And look, we got a Reiner in the house. Did I not promise that roughly 12, 13, 14 hours later I would be streaming again? I didn't lie. I'm streaming again. Yes, indeed. Now here, we're just going to take a little bit of our titanium white, and we're going to see the impact that this has over the top of this purple here. Now, MC, have you tried to paint a Space Marine with oils? I haven't done the Space Marines yet. I've got a whole series of tutorials that are happening on those guys. Now, we laugh and joke. We call these Sigmarines all the time. This was done entirely in oils. You can actually watch this on the YouTube channel. And I've done an entire series on Sisters of Battle right there. So this was my latest army painting series for the Patreon page, and all done in oils. The armor, the object source lighting, the cloaks, and all of the freehand, all that stuff. That was all done. I do believe you can watch this one too in oils, or on the YouTube channel, so sorry. So what we are going to do is, again, take advantage of that pre-glaze that's there. And you can see how that just mixes really nicely with that purple. Gives us a fantastic, wonderful color to work with. And remember, we can just advance even further with this. We can go much lighter. We don't have to go in these short little steps like this. We can take it faster. Here, let's just mix ourselves. And you're going to see very little actual mixing on the palette. You're going to see it mostly happening just on the miniature. So we are just going to throw in just some lights right here. Okay, we got those there. We're going to clean off our brush again. And we're going to start mixing this. Let's see, the starter set of Winds and Rune oils is 21 foot. Holy smokes. That's a darn good price right there. So see the little scumbling motion that we're using? Look at how fast that happens. So we just did that lickety split, no time at all. We have another couple of areas. Now, Armored Wolf has mustered the Rohirrim. Ride for Ruin. There's the Rohirrim. They're just going to march right across the stream, and he's just like... Now, this was also done in oils. Actually, both of these guys. Speaking of the Rohirrim. And you can see no glossy, no nasty stuff on them. And these are miniatures that I use for playing games. So there is no worries. As long as you got a good primer, like say Steinores, you're all good to go. If you are worried about preserving your miniatures, this is the exact same stuff I would use on acrylic painted miniatures. It's actually the only Army Painter painting product that we use. It's their brush-on anti-shine, which is really fantastic stuff. It's the same stuff we use on our acrylic-based things. Let's see, Dead Loader with the canvas. The canvas is my canvas. Here, yeah, the miniature will be your canvas. As you just get in here, and we're just going to mix right here on the figure itself. Now let's say we don't necessarily want it to only be that purple. What if we want some crimson in there too? Well, we can grab a little bit of this crimson right here. And now we can throw some crimson into the shadows as well. Little touch of crimson right there, and there, and there. We can grab again, a brush for blending. Hey, Coalescence is back. How are you doing? And Lumberjack Tim, how are you doing? We're having fun here, day 2 of ReaperCon. So what's going to happen is some of that crimson gets on the brush there. And you can see I'm starting to mix that in. So see, now we've got some crimson in that fold. It's just so much easier than dealing, say, with a glaze or something like that. Just so much easier. So we always have ourselves some form of blending brush, something like that that we can use. Let me see if I can't straighten out Mr. Camera there just a bit.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Umbro. Which I was just thinking, oh, I didn't reach for Umber. Why am I saying that? Oh, but it's because Umbro has just followed. Thank you so much for that. And I'm just going to get a little bit of orange now into some of our golds here. We also have to get some greens into these golds. We're just taking advantage of that pre-glaze. Letting it mixed with these new colors. And again, they have to be as little paint as possible. Like as little paint as you can possibly imagine. Too much is too much, and it'll get there in a hurry. A huge hurry. Oh, Big Bad B has to head off. Well, thanks for joining. So, Reiner, are you going to be streaming later tonight then? And also, folks, be sure to give Reiner a follow. And when you join him in his stream, make sure you're active in that chat because he's got the big push for partner. And that is not an easy task at all. And it takes a lot of support. So be sure when you go into a stream, be active in that chat. So follow him and be active. So now we can start to bring in more of our lights here with our gold. We can start to bring in more lights here, even on the skin tone. Just letting what's already there mix. We're going to bring in some of our, we'll just say more fleshy colors soon enough. Let's get some green in there too. Let's not forget the green. There's a little bit of our berry white green, as we've been calling it, because yes, nothing says gold like some green. Green and purple. Two colors that you would surprisingly not think is in gold, but you find them an awful lot. Like a lot. Here, let's get a little bit of reflected light there. Already, we're starting to get ourselves what looks like something that's vaguely metallic in a way. Now, we don't want to get too light too fast. Let's see, what do we want to do with these guys here, these little tassels here? Let's just give them a little bit of lightness for right now. The flowers, maybe we'll hit them with some of our red here. That's a bit of fanchon red. It's mixed with some of the white that's already in the brush. Now let's see, Cold Touch 5, no cleaning, only wiping it off. So Cold Touch asks, how do you clean the brushes between colors, any white spirit involved, or just wiping it off? Just like Armored Wolf says, we are just wiping it off. Towel like so, and that's it. Because if you keep putting these things and getting moisture in them, and I've seen it happen to people, when they go on the miniature, paint just starts sloshing all over the place because you've got just too much liquid on there. You can see how this is fairly stable. That's because we're not injecting extra liquid into that. We want to keep it as dry as possible. And that, like I've been saying a couple times, that is the number one thing that you are going to find with the oils, is you will want to work with these as dry as possible. See, now we'll get a little bit of a pink in the face. Let's see, Cake Fisk. Where is Cake Fisk's question? Yaret's Tony, what is the cure time with the oils? You're looking at, for me, anyways. We did this one with Mike Disney not too long ago. Within 7 hours, 6, 7 hours, some parts of this were dry. Within 8 to 10 hours, the whole thing was dry. I'm gonna scroll up here to see if where Cakefish's question. Oh, and Matt Aaron's. Oh, thanks. Let's see. I think we're all caught up there. I'm just looking for that one question. I think we got that question too. Oh, okay. No stream for Reiner tonight. Has some paint plans, but oh, no problem. Let's see. Yaris Tony varies on depending on the thickness of paint. I'm just looking for your original question. So you can always ask that again if I missed that question there. Now we're going to go back to this, and like I said, we're going to try and get some of this pinkish color here into the face, letting what's already there mix in. More death. How are you doing? Let's see. That blending method doesn't work with acrylics. Unfortunately, the acrylics are just going to be, A, they're going to be dry, and B, they're going to be dry, and unfortunately they will just dry on you way too fast, and the drying mediums or the drying retarders and all that kind of stuff, that only gets you so far. And especially here, the fact that I'm working on multiple figures at a time, and when you're working on something even more larger, so you can watch this one too. I'm sorry, the voice is kind of going already after 8 hours of streaming yesterday. This was all done with the oils, and some of that blending was done 5-6 hours after we started. So that's just the kind of thing you can't do with the acrylics, unfortunately. So all of this painted with the oils, the freehand, the object source lighting, everything, and you can watch this. It's a past broadcast. It'll end up on the YouTube channel eventually. Cakefist was just asking if these were oils. Yes, they are, as we welcome in Zen for One. How are you doing? I really enjoy the oils. I will show you some other things painted with the oils too. I use them for creatures great and small. And I don't know if you just saw the Sisters of Battle that we were showing off there. That was my latest army painting series, all done with the oils. So here, look at this. We're just... I can use my finger if I wanted to. Here, we'll just throw some paint on here. I'll just use my finger to blend that. Now, again, we usually have something like a blending brush to do that. But it'll work. Cakefist, yes, and like I said, the YouTube channel and some of the past broadcasts here, tons of information about oil painting. Tons of information about it. What I like about the oils is that they, in effect, are cheaper than the acrylics. They are just...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Tide, for the follow. They're just more relaxing for me to use, because I could take this thing and I could just set it aside for 4 hours and work on a whole bunch of other things and come back 4 hours later and still be able to do blending. Now, will it be quite as fresh as it was when I started? Most likely not, especially if I have thinned the paint to the degree that I want to. However, it's just knowing that those blends are pretty much always there for me, or if I want to do some wet oils over dry oils, it works just as well. Oh, we're at Kathy now. Food has been consumed. Let me see. Let's say safe, Mose. Let's see. Achilles blade. I'll be buying some oil paints now. Oh, no problem. No problem. I just, I think you'll have some fun with it. Now here we're taking some Van Dyke brown. Actually, a little bit of the olive green. Now this is going to be a little bit more along the lines of some glazing here, but it's a different type of glaze. It's just a pin line wash. We're just going to let that flow as it may. We're just going to let it do its own thing here. Oh, that is also hair. Okay, that's good to know. You see how we just touch the brush to that? We can do a little different type of glaze up here now. Let's say we don't want that necessarily to be so light. We can just throw a little bit of color on there. And now let's push that around a bit. Got ourselves another brush here. See how we just changed the top of the wings there a little bit? Nice and easy. So those essentials about the oils, less is more. Way more. Way less is way more. And a tiny bit more is a lot less. Take of that as you will. See, we can do a little bit more blending over here. Using what's on that brush. Nice and smooth. And we could do any kind of, let's say we wanted to do, we could do some veins over it or something like that. Let's say we wanted to do, so this was done in oils. So see our little fine little veins that we did on this? That's all done wet, over wet, so you can definitely do your freehand design. So here's another thing. Painted in oils. This was all done in one sitting, all very wet into wet. So you can see we can do certainly do our freehand with the oils, no problem whatsoever. Let's see, Kit asks, how long do you wait till they dry? So Kit, it'll all entirely depend on how much paint you're using. For me, these days, somewhere between 8 to 9, maybe 10 hours on the high side. And yes, you can use acrylics over the oils once they dry. So check this out. This figure right here was painted at the same time as that other one. It was done mostly in oils, but all of a sudden it had to be shipped out. It had to be sent like the next day. The oils were dry. There was no time to paint more oils. So the skulls, everything you see that's a skull, that was finished with the acrylics. The horns, finished with the acrylics. Now here's another one. We were pressed for time. It was, oh, wait a minute, it's got to be sent a week sooner than I thought. The vast majority of this was painted with oils, and you can watch this. I just did this on the Saturday extravaganza, so you can still watch this video. I took some Reaper clear and liner paints, and I finished this sucker off. Obviously, no problem with the paint sticking. They stuck just fine. So you can definitely paint acrylics over the oils. Once the oils are dry, they're just dry. That's it. Let me see. Just be careful to say he doesn't zap. That's how I start. Jim is the Emperor Palpatine of oil paints. Coalescence, have you noticed a big difference from the water mixable oils? I have never tried those. Quiescence, I have never tried them. We know a few folks who did, and they just use regular oils now. I couldn't tell you exactly what they discovered, but they tried those. They tried regular oils, and they prefer the regular oils. I don't know the specifics, but they definitely said they tried them both, and they said, yeah, I just would rather use the oils. Let's see. Oh, and Kathy answered the question too. Let's see. Every creature caster figs have to be sent earlier, it seems. Well, the problem is that a certain person was getting married at the time, and the other person that I was communicating with, when I said, okay, this is my timeline, right? They said, yes. And then all of a sudden I got a frantic message from the person who was getting married saying, oh my gosh, no, those have to be here this week. And I went, well, okay, that's interesting. So everything got ramped up an entire week in advance. And actually that wasn't the only company where that happened. The Firelock game, I was doing those in oils as well. And they said, oh yeah, we need those in the mail now. And I went, well, okay. So there was a few that I had started painting with oils. I just let those dry. And then I just went in and painted the acrylics over the top of the oils. And it worked just fine. Let's see, another question from Gurnethil. How do you come up with color schemes? That's what I'm often struggling with. I don't really have, say, something specific in mind. Like this, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with this. I didn't even realize this was armor. I thought that was just dress. So that completely changed when I took a look at that and went, oh, that's not a dress. That's an armor piece. So that kind of changed. This is why I like the oils, because let's say I don't like this blue here. Let's say I want to do something else. Let's say if I want this to be pink or green, I can change this very easily. How can I change it? I could just take this sponge and I can just go, I can just wipe it all away. It's all gone. And I could change it to something else if I wanted to. And if I say, nah, my original thing was okay. Oh, look, I can just as easily bring it right back. Actually, oh yeah, that's right. I don't know if you've seen this video here, but this freehand pattern, I put it on there. I said, okay, that's close, not close enough. I wiped it off. I put it on a second time. I said, well, that's closer, not close enough. I wiped it off a third time and then painted it on for the third time, and that stuck. No, Kit Quartz, this all happens all at the same time. Everything happens all at the same time. That's I know that the vehicle painting guys, they let things dry and do all this kind of, well, that is definitely not what we do here. We just paint because in the end it's just paint. That really is all it is. And I will do it all in one sitting. So I'm going to get a little bit of pink in here too, just because. Just a little bit of separation there. I found some wood elves from the 90s. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Friday morning there. Let's see. It's the color scheme makes me think of a demonic Snow White. Well, there we go. I was thinking of maybe doing this in some kind of greens because of the elf roller right there. But we're just we'll mess around with it. We'll see what we get. We'll see what we come up with here in the end. Let's see. The drying time often depends on how much you thin the paint. The thinner you use it, the faster it dries. And by thinner, we're not necessarily just talking about thinning it with liquid. How often have we talked about how dry the paint is? How little of the paint there is? That's really going to be important, because just making it thinner is not quite the same. You're still piling on layers of paint. So you just want to have, again, less paint. You're constantly trying to manage how much paint is on your brush as you're working with it. Demon Snow White is a good look and a cool sky. Oh, thanks, Keldon. And the thinner involved, as he right here. So it's Speedball is the main company. Mona Lisa is your sub brand. So you can get that on Amazon real easy. I just got some. I just ordered some yesterday on Amazon. So I know it's there. There's no doubt it's there. You can get it. But you can also get it at Michael's. I think there is a link for there's a link for Michael's right there. I know we've gotten a container of it at Michael's as well. I think that's actually where we might have first found, no, I think it was Amazon. And then we were in a Michael's and I went, oh look, it's here too. And I grabbed a container there. Now let's say we don't want to necessarily go any lighter with this. You can definitely do freehand over the top of these things. Here, that's just for the heck of it. Let's play around with some right now. Just play around with, here's some of our brown matter. Now here, we do want this to be a little bit more on the liquid side of things. So let's say we just want to do your usual sort of spot pattern here. And yes, this is right over the top of wet oils. To have some larger spots here too. But you're going to see that I go back and grab more paint. Because see how that's starting to mix? See how it's starting to mix with the paint that's already there? That tells you, I got to go back. I got to get some fresh paint. So I can maybe do 2, 3, 4 tops. And now I have to go back and I have to get some more. Again, I have to go back and get some more because the underlying paint is getting in there. Let's see, I've also found 5 parts of Orion. So, oh wow, gee whiz. I painted that guy. I think I painted him twice. He's just, he's a big old metal figure, right? Yeah, he's got to be, being that old and GW. He's got to be a big old metal figure. Well, I wish you luck in finding the rest of him, man. So see, that's all, again, oils over wet. Let me see. Been down to memory lane with the golden ones. Oh, I still have a 1990s Wood Elf army. Ah, yes, well, we love our Tomb King here. We definitely, well, we loved our Tomb Kings before GW stopped loving them and got rid of them, which was somewhat inconvenient since it was the latest army that I painted and had spent about a year plus on the project, so that was not so happy. Let's see, going through. Although it's orderless, you should ventilate your painting area. Really, it is very minimal with that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, there's plenty of wind blowing around in here. We have several fans. Even in the wintertime, there's still fans going here. Just to kind of, like you say, keep that air moving around. So again, that's about as much as I can do. And I know I am not as maybe sensitive as some folks are to the oil, but it definitely, there was a point where I almost gave up on oil painting years ago when I was in art school because everybody was using the really nasty, cheap stuff with really zero ventilation. They said there was, but it wasn't enough for me. So this stuff is definitely nice. Here we go. So Armored Wolf wants to see the Tomb Kings in question. Who wants to enter the tomb cities of Suseni? So now this was a little project, like I said, that we did back in the day. This is not the entire army here. This is most of it. And a whole bunch of that was actually scratch sculpted. This is also where we first started using the fluorescent paints. And this army was at least 7 of the old painting pyramid tutorial videos were based around what I learned doing this army. So again, fluorescence played a big role in that. Magenta, blue, green, all that. Now you see those 2 big guys, the blue guys there, those were scratch sculpted. You see the multicolored carrion birds, those were scratch sculpted. Those objective markers, the screaming skull catapult, all that stuff was scratch sculpted. That's why I want to definitely start doing some sculpting again. So we're still doing things today based on what I learned from an army that was done in 2013/2014. Oh, Al Capone in the house. Yes. That's kind of the, that's going to have to almost be a Book of Wappel thing, a wee little project. Just like the Sisters of Battle, that was, it was just a wee little project. Now here's another thing we can do with the oils, and by the way, welcome in, Al, so much. It was definitely a nice restful sleep last night. Well, once it was like 6:25 and we actually got to sleep. But thank you so much for the generosity. It was appreciated. And see how we're blending some of these things? So watch, we can do that over here too. Remember how I was saying I had to keep going back and getting fresh paint if I wanted these to stand out? Well, now I don't want these to stand out. I want them to actually fade. Look at this. See how easy it is to do the fading? Let's see, I love the Dark Elves from GW. Let me see. Keldon says, bought the army box and still have that to paint too. Lots of bare plastic. Kathy, oh yeah. Kathy still has the Orc army in boxes. Well, maybe she can paint some of those for Orctober. She can paint some of those on her stream for Orctober. There we go. Kathy paints orcs. The entire month of October, that's all she gets to paint because it's her birthday month. Oh, and folks, I thought we were going to be celebrating our moderator's birthday on the 5th. Instead, that has already transpired. So, for sure, let's do a happy birthday to our moderator who donates a whole ton of time to doing this craziness. So be sure to salute him belatedly. Yeah, see, she just said right there, she doesn't have enough projects. Oh wait, there's an emote there. It says that she's serious. She does not have enough projects. She needs more. Now we're gonna keep getting some of these faded out spots here onto our wings. Let's keep going with this. There we go. I can always start more that can always start one more that has yet to finish. Let's see. And all the times I've seen those tombs, I never realized there was a complete chamber in that center cavity. At some point, I will get some more pictures of that. So there's not just a complete chamber in there. Oh, thank you, Dr. Feegood, for the cheer. Here, he's gonna wait for that one. And she says, fine. Not only is there a complete chamber in there, but in the ceiling, there is a star field with fiber optic wire for the stars in the ceiling, which nobody can see because you have to literally duck down and peek from underneath to be able to see that. So yeah, I spent a good 25 hours of work on that portion of it, which is really, really hard to see. And that doesn't show up in the photos at all, unfortunately. Much to my dismay, doesn't show up at all. Let me see if I can get some cerulean blue here, mixed with a touch of white. You know what? Instead of let's try something different here. Let's try something a little bit different instead of that. Let's play with something else instead. Why not? Now this is gonna be more liquid. Uh-oh, do we have a cheer war? We have Quiescence has also cheered. So we're gonna try and grab some of those too. Thank you so much. Let's see. You know it's there, and that's what matters. Well, it really, I mean, all kidding aside, what I learned doing that was just as valuable, even if nobody saw it. A few people did. And there are pictures, again, you can go look on the blog. All those pictures are still there. Here, let's grab ourselves a nice little, this is again a quad zero. This is a synthetic brush here. Let's see what we can do here with some sort of freehandy type things. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a swirl right here. Instead of just making it, oh, I don't know, lighter, and then lighter, and then lighter, maybe let's do something a little bit different instead. Here, let's do a little opposite grain there. Maybe we'll do the same thing right here. Another little swirl, kind of in line with the other one. Hopefully that shows up. Let me see. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's see. Happy birthday to you too, Numbskull. Yep, so September 1st, well, there's a wee spot of mayhem that happened that day. So I didn't really get to look at any of, well, I thought it was the 5th for various reasons. And Armored Wolf, I will tell you the reason why I thought it was the 5th. It's really not a very happy reason, unfortunately. It has to do with Dragon Con. And that's why for some reason I thought it had to be the 5th. Now we're going to keep going with their wee bit of freehand there. See, it doesn't take much at all. Let's go back over here. Again, before we get too involved with all kinds of shading and stuff, let's just do some fun little freehand here. And again, this is all wet oils over wet oils. Now, speaking of wet, this is one occasion where we do want to get the paint thinner, as in more of a liquid. But I can only do so much of this, again, before that paint starts to dry. Or before it picks up too much of the paint underneath, and then just won't let me put any more on there. So we've got ourselves again, another nice little, it's simple, right? Doesn't have to be complex. Now we're going to have this go in the opposite direction right here. The wing might be in the way here, but we'll give it a shot. Another little swirl right here. Let's finish this off. We're going to give ourselves one little, almost like a curved sort of a triangle piece right there. And we got the tree and all this other kind. We're going to be working on that too. We have to think, are we going to do just a floor with no color on it, or are we going to do something maybe with a night sky or something like that? You know, if we're going to do the whole dark elf, let's change something around here. Let's go with some indigo here. Let's go with some indigo. And we'll change this around. This is what I mean about the oils. Don't feel like you can't make changes. We just made another change again. Yeah. Well, almost, I don't know, make that almost like it's a night sky sort of a thing. That could be more interesting. And then maybe have the tree be somewhat lighter, maybe even something like a blue. No, we don't want that to be, oh yeah, let's use this. We're going to use some of our berry white green. Why not? Oh, thank you, Impending Duff, for continuing the gift sub. So for whatever reason, I'm not getting my sound there. I did not have a chance, unfortunately, earlier today to try and restore sound. So thank you so much, Impending Duff. And folks, be sure to give Impending Duff a follow. Let's see. I think that's let's see. I bet that is a poison apple tree. I like it. I like that idea. Well, where do you think the poison apples come from? They have to come from somewhere. They come from the poison apple tree. A weird, crazy Morgul, Minas Morgul style green there. Making it nice and wicked and evil. And I like the idea of something on here just besides the happy little tree. Well, it's going to be a happy little poison apple tree. It can still be a happy tree. It's just a poison tree. And the poison makes it happy because that's what it does. It makes frozen, or it makes a poison fruit that people eat, and then it feeds on their bones because that's what it does. It needs to eat somehow. We'll get maybe some almost glowing lights in this tree here, especially maybe out at the ends. Let's see if we can do that. And again, this is all wet over wet, but you see we've made some multiple changes to this thing already. Here, let's get some of our light tones there, and then we've got these crazy little star things here. We're just going to use our little bit of a glazing technique there, that pin line wash, to get some of our white down there where those stars are. And then we have to figure out what's going to happen with, well, ordinarily that's probably a phoenix over there. We'll have to do something a little bit different with that. We'll make this darker as well. Around that star. I like that change a little bit more. Let's make this darker too. I think that kind of goes a little bit better with the figure that we're doing there. And here, even with our freehand, we can, let's put some lighter tones on that freehand, but not everywhere. Let's get rid of some of that. See how we can even now, we can still work on that. Still workable. If we want to match this to the other side here, let's get another swirl that looks like it gets, it starts about here. I'm just going to try and reverse this pattern here. So I think we're just going to set ourselves a line right over there. Kind of mark where that's supposed to end. Make that a little bit higher. Let's go back here, get some more of our blue. Let me see. Clearly now it's the Moon Phoenix. All rotten and corrupted by Nurgle. Let's see, depending on how you look at it. I think we're just about where we need to be to... Yeah. Now we've got those mirrored. Not quite sure. We'll just wait on that part of our freehand out there, but let's start to get some maybe lighter tones on the face too. And we've been waiting a little bit here to do these because, well, with the oils, it's always best to, again, work on multiple figures at once and don't be hasty. As Treebeard always says, don't be hasty, little hobbitses. There's even something in the Book of Wappel about being hasty and blending. And I know it's very tempting to be hasty with the blending. Let's see. We'll get some more lights right here along the edges of this. Let's get her a little lighter chin. Let's get some more lights into her face. See what we're going to do with these eyes as well. We'll just get something light in there just for now. A little more light on the chin. Maybe some more lights on the wings. But yeah, I gotta keep coming back here, grab some fresh paint. Does El Capone have to take off? Let's see, alright, I gotta put in some honeydews and fix the pressure washer. Well, I will certainly be here. I'll certainly be here, Al. So we'll be waiting for you when you get back. So we will catch you later. Let me see. I think we're all caught. Let's see. Question: have you tried the Winsor Newton Skin Tone Oil Color? Actually, my favorite. Well, and this goes back to art school days. If I can find my Terra Rosa here somewhere. I absolutely love this because not only is it a fantastic start for skin tones, it's multi-purpose because we also used it as rust on our BT7 right here. This was all painted with oils. It was all painted wet into wet. And actually I used the indigo with some of our greens, but all of the rust, yeah, the Terra Rosa was a big part of our rust right there. So yeah, Quiescence, that is definitely one that I recommend. It just does so many different things. There's so much more you can do with it. That Chimera that you saw before, Terra Rosa definitely played a big part in that one too. It's a utilitarian color. It's more than even just the color itself. It's the consistency of it. It's what it lets you do. See, now we're starting to, we add some lighter things into our wings. And start to get into our more detailed stuff. But what did we start with? We started, for sure, what did we start with? Our bigger brush, right? We did our very ugly looking pre-glaze. It just looked horrible, right? But that's our basis. That's what we're working with now. And we're going to get a little bit of orange here into some of our golds. We already worked some green in there. We already have purple by default. Just by default, we have purple in there. And now we're going to get some of our, I think, some lighter yellow into this. And I'm also going to start going back over to our other one where we have object source lighting that we can do. I've just kind of been waiting for a while for that one, well, the paint's not dry, it's just more stable now, and I can put some more details onto that. So now we can bring out some more lights in the armor here. Let's do that along this edge too, and we've got some of the scales here that could also use a little bit more in the way of lighter tones. Oh yeah, we have this crazy little bat right here. I didn't really realize that's what it was, but then I should have known. I mean, it's a Sophie. There's probably going to be a bat somewhere. So again, some reflected light there, some reflected light over here. Just letting that yellow mix with the purple. We need to get some of our gold over here on this side. If that's what it is. Yeah, we'll just say it's gold. Why not? We leave this side be a little bit lighter than the other. And you can see the scumbling motion that I'm using. That's also helping to mix that. And we can even, once again, kind of short circuit that whole layering process here. We've got almost some white that we're going to let mix into. Let that mix into our color. Here I can really see some of the greens. I think it's fairly obvious as we do this here that...
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Ziceris, for the follow. And hopefully I said that or pronounced that correctly. You can definitely do details with oil. We did freehand, right? We did a freehand here with plenty of details, plenty of fun stuff that we can do. I'm going to grab some of my Egyptian violet. Let's do something right here. That's going to help set up the eyes now. Lips a little bit darker. We'll try and get some, figure out what we're going to do with the hair as well. Let me see. I could talk. Phthalo turquoise. That sounds. Whoa, that sounds really interesting. That phthalo is really nice. Yeah, that's got to be fantastic. So why does Snow White have wings? Well, it's so that she can fly over the corpses of her enemies, right? After she kills her two wicked stepsisters, right? She can fly over the corpse of her enemies and just throw poison apples at them. At least that's how that's how I thought the fairy tale went. Well, you know, here we alter fairy tales. Well, I guess more than one dwarf is going to be renamed Sleepy or something like that. Because wasn't there a dwarf named Sleepy here? Let's get some straight up pinks here. This is that Fanchon red. I'm going to make those gold too. What the heck? And her sleeves, not going to have that be skin tone. We won't have that be skin tone. But now there's a little more rosiness in the cheeks. I'm going to do this before I start screwing around with the hair. This really does make skin tones so much easier. Yeah, you want to get that green skin tone, right? In the shadows and those other areas. It's so much easier doing that with the oils. I think that's actually supposed to be a leaf there, so we won't make that also be on the reddish pink side. Let's see, was there ever any doubt? Let's see, somewhere over the painbow. Oh, I like that. Well, yeah, we're going to have to, I guess we'll have to find some dwarves then. Yeah, we'll just have to find some dwarves. Okay, let's use some of this green. So actually, technically mixing green and red together as a highlight for hair. Because we're going to let these mix together. And if a color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. Which means we will also be using this green again. Well, in some of our golds here. Why? Because it's sitting right next to blue. So we better darn well have some greens in that. Like right there. So here we're just going to take that portion. We mix our yellow into our green right there. Let's see. Definitely going to check your past streams. I'm looking forward to tuning in for future streams. Well, I'll catch you later, Kit Quartz. And I'll be doing this again tomorrow. Well, I'll be doing this every day till Monday, and then we go to more of our usual broadcasting time. But definitely check out those past ones, because I think it'll really give you a good idea what happens with this, and the YouTube channel as well. That's just James Wappel on YouTube. But you have a good one, and I'll catch you next time. Let's get some darker stuff going on here, and this is kind of like a semi-glaze that we're throwing in here now. I also want to get some green on these leaves. That's going to have to be somewhat liquid to be able to stick here. And it does. I think we've got leaves. Yes, we got leaves there. We have leaves up here too. Coalescence cerulean blue is so expensive compared to the rest. It is definitely, well, some of those, I don't want to call them specialty colors. It's not really a specialty color, but some of those, they can definitely be more expensive, like your cadmiums, some of your cobalts and such things. Those can be expensive. But I'll show you in a bit. I'll show you some things where the cerulean blue is really helpful. So here's an example of what cerulean blue can do for you. That the face on that, a huge part of that is cerulean blue. We had cerulean blue, we had phthalos in that. We didn't have our Egyptian violet for that. But this is actually, you can see part of the painting of this on the YouTube channel. This is a Caracolila bust from Blackheart. And that was actually the first time we used fluorescent paints. So it can definitely, the cerulean blue can be very helpful. Now, these were done with acrylics, but I am going to be doing these guys again in oils. So where is our, one second, here we go. So you can really imagine how cerulean blue would be massively helpful for these guys. So this is one of the very first army painting series that I did for the Patreon page here. So you can imagine just the role that cerulean blue would play. Pretty much that and phthalo blue also on these. So here's another one of my series here. Wait a minute. Let's get to our dull Amroth. There. Cerulean blue. If I was doing these guys in oil, you can bet cerulean blue would play a big role in the sort of shiny chrome armory on these guys. So cerulean blue, yeah, it's expensive, but really it can have its place. As we welcome in Aussie AC, how are you doing? Angry Ham, that is still here. Actually, there is a second one here now. And I am going to try and use some new experimental colors on that, like that interference blue. I think you saw me showing that off the other day. That is something I definitely want to give a shot on that next bust. But yep, she is still sitting over here. She's guarding, well, she's guarding something. I don't know what she's guarding. But don't think she's asleep, because she's not. She's always watching you. Let's get something here in between the eyebrows and the eyelids. Maybe we'll even lighten up her sleeves a bit here. Because we got our purple back here. Let's just take a little bit of our white, some of the purple. Now, it's not a warm purple. It is a cooler purple. And if you go back, if you watch the creature caster, the first King of Malefica that we painted, that really featured an awful lot of this Egyptian violet. It is just a really nifty color. And I love the consistency of it. That's almost more important than anything else than the color itself, is its consistency. This also needs to be a little bit brighter. You can see we can, even with this small little brush here, we can mix and blend. Let's see. Oh, I got a bad connection here. Can see the chat, but not James. I am painting some more Reaper figures here. So this is one of them. We're painting a Reaper Sophie from years past. And we're also going to be painting some object source lighting on this guy, much like what we did last night here. And that is from the new Gen 3 plastics from Reaper Miniatures. Now we've got some more light here. Let's see what we can do with some of these golds. Find a couple of highlights in places like over here on the gauntlet. And she also has some of these bracelets here. And the reason why this paint is sticking here is because we have really thin paint and we are going thin over thick. And in this case, the thicker paint is just drier paint. It's not actually like physically thicker, it's just drier. And now we're putting wetter paint over that drier paint. But it's also, but using the thinner, it breaks it down a little bit. Unlike acrylic paints, though, when you thin it down, you don't lose any opacity. That is another important thing to kind of keep in mind. You don't lose opacity when you thin your oil paints, especially not with colors like, well, yellows, anything that's a cadmium. You can thin the heck out of it. It's still going to stay opaque. Even Terra Rosa and Indigo would do that. So we're getting a little bit of reflected lights in our golds here. Letting some of that purple still mix in there. It's really important. That's what helps that whole notion of if a color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. That is the wonder of the wet and wet. See, we smooth those out now. Those have just been waiting there for probably a good 20, 30 minutes. We're just waiting to be smoothed out. Oh, let's get some green in here too. We've been putting an awful lot of yellows and such. Let's get some green in a few of these little armor pieces. Why? Because we're just trying to represent some reflected light. Well, thank you, Noon Code. And let me know if I said that correctly. Oh, we got Ecto in the house. Oh, Ecto just, wow, now that's there's a substantial leap right there. No pressure whatsoever. Well, I wish you luck with that, and be sure if you got any questions or something like that, always shoot me a note. But congratulations. That should be pretty cool. Actually, I hope, even if it doesn't make it go faster, I just hope that it makes it a little bit more chill for you. You know, that you're not just, oh my gosh, my timing, I wasn't able to wet blend where I wanted to. So yeah, hopefully the oils just make it a little more relaxing for you. So let's get her ears in here. Let's get a few lighter shots on her hair. Can lighten a few areas on her wings now. Oh, Gurnithio has to take off. Well, thanks for joining us. Oh, we got Marilda and Backlog Battles. Let's see, I'm trying to decide between the Hobby Box or the Mega Bundle. Well,
So say we all. So say we all.
now, Wasblur, thank you so much. Oh, a couple of gift subs here. Oh, well, look at this, to Sky King and to Hecabus. So, Wasblur, how are you doing?
So say we all. So say we all.
And thanks again for the gift subs. Those are appreciated. They definitely make a big difference.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Oh, thanks, Keldon Raven. Thank you so much for the follow. You know what? I think I can get some couple of lights up there on the top of her wings. Let's see what we can do with a few lights on those flowers now. And the sleeves, we'll go one step lighter here. I might even use a wee bit of crimson on that. So we're going to take some of our white, we'll mix it with that crimson here. And some part, not the entire parts of her sleeve. This part here, we'll definitely get some of the crimson on that. Just sneak some down in there and over here. I just need a little separation. Yes, the purples are neat, but I need something else besides purple in there. Kind of like what we did down here, where we got some crimson into this. This is where we're going to take some Terra Rosa, and we're going to use that as a little wee bit of a glaze. And it's going to be more of that panel line wash. So when we just set this here, see how that just spread out by itself? That's kind of how you have to do those type of glazes. You can't force those. You have to just let them do what they're going to do. It can be a little bit scary letting it do its own thing. Let's see. Say it ain't so. Death Guard are pretty princesses. Oh, thanks, Palos. Let's see. Angry Hams. Even though oils take longer to dry, they seem to be faster to paint with while being chill. That. Oh, and we got Groot in the house. How are you doing? it lets you do so much more, like those big guys, right? You saw me painting the Chimera, you saw me painting the Creature Caster stuff. How relaxed was it to be able to paint with that? So look at this, we got a little bit more. See that orangey red that gets in there? And look, now I can just blend this away. Let's see if we can maybe get some eyes on her. We're going to use our indigo blue, kind of like the way we'd use our blue liner with our Reaper paints. Oh, thanks, Marilda. It's almost like they paint themselves. And I know that gets said a lot, the miniature just paints itself and that sort of thing, but when I'm using the oils, it just feels like kicking back, and after a few hours, suddenly you've got almost this entire miniature painted. Whereas with the acrylics, you feel every single brush stroke. Every single one of them. I'm going to go back to this brown matter here. I think I need some more darks, and that is another one of those kind of semi-transparent colors. Using it to our advantage here, we just kind of glaze some of that in, and then we mix it around. Red Bull gives you wings. Let's see. Walsbor says, I believe it was an Ent who gifted me while I was off yesterday. Let's see. First night here, he basically gave me a tutorial jumpstart into basing. Oh my goodness, that's right. All the bases. That was Monday, wasn't it? Well, that's where we were basing all these. And now, folks, go back and watch Monday's session because we were doing all kinds of stuff with the basing. Now here, this is just sticks and cork and some rocks. This is a dark sword figure, but it had one of those big old broccoli bases. You can see a tiny bit of that silver right there, or pewter. All of that broccoli base entirely covered. And some of the other bases that we were doing some more tree-based, like this one here. So this one's going to actually be a waterfall style base, and I'll grab you the thing that will be what it's supposed to look like, so you can see that later. Oh, let's see. Blue, cerulean blue to be exact. It's not. Yep, that cerulean blue really is just unbelievable. As Keldon says, all you bases belong to us. I just really love the basing. To me, it turns every miniature into a diorama. Actually, speaking of which, so this was the latest tutorial that is, I think it's almost done rendering now. I'm going to back out here a little bit, and we might be painting this on Saturday, so this is a little bit of a preview here. So these are from Dark Sword Miniatures. This is the red, I think it's a red dragon, and I forget what this sorcerer was called, but this was the latest basing tutorial that I just did. And actually this is made out of pink foam and cork. So we'll be painting this up probably on Saturday, I think, which could be really, really fun. Yeah, let's put him back, get him out of the way. Oh, I heard something about a snort laugh. I must have missed something there. We need to get a couple of lights. Ooh, we need to come back in here with our focus. That's better. Would have been kind of hard to see some of these things from that far back. Let's get a little more light on the... See, now that we shaded that, we can pick out some areas that are lighter, like the ends of her fingers here. Let's make those lighter too. Her ear, yeah, let's pick out a little bit more of her ear. Maybe some more highlights in the hair. Let's do some lights on her fingers over here too. Might have to actually put more shadows into our golds. We just grab some more of our, what's it called? I think it's called Brilliant Yellow Pale. And that is from Williamsburg. That's one of those pricey colors. Let me see. Acid Burn Punk, we're just having a little conversation about cerulean blue, it seems. And we're going to add ourselves a few more lighter highlights here to the art right in this front section, because we were doing some mixing there, and that toned down a couple of our brightest highlights. Speaking of which, let's get a couple here onto these little bits, and then right along the edge here, we need to get a nice little edge along that. See, okay, that's all it takes sometimes. We made this darker. Now we can go back in and get some more lights on that tassel. And here's our poison apple tree that we'll get some more lights on. Again, this is the Green Stuff World Elf Texture Roller. It's one of their brand new rollers. We absolutely love those texture rollers. They just let you do so much. The other figure that we're working on is that one is the Dwarf Texture Roller. There must be like 30 different textures by now, maybe even more. But there's got to be at least, if there's not 30, there has to be pretty darn close to 30 textures. Let me see. Let's go with a couple of more lights on the top of this piece right here. Don't know if you can see it, but I need some right there and here too. And let's get her a couple of highlights on the cheeks here. Maybe even on the lower lips there. You know what? Maybe we can sneak in some of our green back here, and that's going to be a much cooler green like this. And I'm going to sneak it in right there. This is the nifty thing that oils will let you. This is barely even perceptible. If this were acrylics, you'd have to try and mix a color, whereas here I just took the green and I just threw it on there. I didn't have to do much mixing here. I literally just took a green that was here, and then I just mixed it. I mixed it on my canvas. This is my palette. The miniature becomes your palette. There's 44 of them now. Well, that doesn't surprise me. I shouldn't be surprised at all. Now, you will want to be advised that some of those rollers, there's two different scales. And I think it's usually in stuff like the cobblestone rollers and such. Just look at what it says, large or small, or it'll say 15 millimeter or something like that. There are two different sizes for some of the rollers that involve like street type textures, cobblestone, flagstone, whatever. Just do yourself a favor and check those, because they might end up being a little different size than you're expecting. See how that looks more interesting than just a whole this red shading there? Oh, Felonius has to take off. This is a perfect time because our moderator knows. So thanks again, Felonius, for joining us here. Let's do this. So you don't see that green anymore. Let's do a little bit more. Now you can see the palette. You'll see this get lighter. We're even going to throw some in here. I'm going to get a little bit of my liquid to activate that. So watch what's going to happen here. You'll barely even notice this. Yeah, it doesn't even look like anything. I don't think you can actually see anything. It looks like I'm not doing anything to this. Yeah, it pretty much looks like nothing is happening. However, when we bring that color back, you are going to definitely see a little bit of a difference. Now, this might look a little lighter here, but that's about it. It might look just a little bit lighter. So let's bring back our color here. As we do, you see all that green that's in there now? So much more of the green. Let's take our blending brush here. Get some of that old paint out of there. And now we can smooth this even more. And we're going to do a little bit more of our film noir here. Where's my... There he is. So we're going to turn this to black and white now, again. And I just want you to take a note of a few areas here. So his hat. Take a look at back here on his cloak. Now notice that looks just as light as this, but we still have shading. There's still shading there. You can see shape there. Now watch what happens when we bring back the color. Watch what happens. Guess where your eye is drawn? To the coolest color on the whole thing. And usually cool colors recede. What's coming forward? This cool color. What's receding? All of these warmer colors here. There's like a pink there. There's some yellow there. There's some greens over here. Look at his hat. This is the same value as that. A lot of these values are the same, but the color is more intense over here. And these colors are very muted. There's more forms of contrast than just lights and darks. There's color contrast. That's what we're putting in here. That's what we're adding here, is that all-important color contrast. Using some greens to make these reds look more interesting. And we're literally using red and green side by side, mixing them together. It's like, was it lions and or cats and dogs or whatever, or something like that. Let's maybe finish off some of our freehand over here. So we'll start this. See if we can mimic our little swirl over there. Hopefully that is, yeah, that's on screen. You can see that. We can always go back and make it lighter, whatever. We're just trying to draw this in right now. And we've got ourselves a couple of quickie lines. And this leads to another little bit of a swirl that goes all the way over here, comes back around again. Now on this one here, we've been doing the swirls down there too. Maybe it goes a different direction here. Yeah, let's go the opposite direction with this. Let's put it on the other side. So just mirror that this way. This is that much thinner paint right here. Oh, let me see. Lots of cheeky cheeks. Let's see. That's something that's hard to teach. Creating interest where there is none, just for the sake of the eye observing it. Let's do the rest of our... Which way is that going to go? And there we are. Our next swirl done. Oh, let's finish off. We got some over here to do. Oh, hey, Thunderdome Drew. How are you doing? So, folks, definitely give Thunderdome Drew the follow, because later tonight you're going to have your Thirsty Thursday, and you want to share that with Drew. So definitely you can only share it with them if you give them the follow. So be sure to do that. Let's see, we got this one here. We need one more. Let's get this swirl going. Like so. And he'll be also, he's working on the, speaking of King of Malefica, he is working on the King of Malefica. That's the resplendent version, I believe. So definitely go check out Drew, and you get yourself more King of Malefica. In case you haven't seen enough King already. Let's see, Keldon, I'm loving these free-ins. It adds so much to an already great sculpt. Yeah, it's just so much fun. You know, some dots, some swirls, and then we've got our little tree down in here. So a couple of simple patterns really can add so much to it. Now we're going to go again the opposite way with this. Create another little swirl pattern that goes this way. And again, the sweet thing is, if we don't like any of this, we just take a brush, a sponge, whatever, and we just wipe it all away. It's all gone. It is all gone. Now what we do need, I think we're going to add a little bit of a little touch of that blue in here too. If a color goes somewhere, must go everywhere, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure it goes everywhere. Let's get a little bit of our pattern working in the opposite way. We're going to do the same over here on this side. One last, I think this would be it then. We don't have to worry about any more swirls after we get this one in. We are swirl complete. And then do we do anything on the bottom of the dress? I don't know, maybe we take some of that green here. Again, that's our berry white green. We got this tree here. Let's see if we can maybe throw in a bit of a tree. War grips for your fingertips. Let's see. Tired of touching your models of paint? Yeah, that's it. Get your war grips from Thunderdome Drew. So this looks like it has one main stalk here. And then it has the root patterns that come out this way. I'm just turning this around. I want to see what we got for our tree here. We just get ourselves a little bit of a tree pattern on the back of this. Why not? Sometimes I like taking a texture that's on the base and then freehanding it onto the itself. It's like a freehand idea. That's a fun little design right there. And again, this is all wet oils over wet oils. Well, yeah, berry white green. I mean, it's got berries, or it has, well, never mind. It's got green in it, sort of. So all we did was we're just trying to extend our little tree thing over here. Putting that over here now. Actually, maybe what might be interesting is if this continues right along here, almost as a bit of a thorn type of a thing. So let's continue our little tree roots along here. Something that kind of continues past just the back of the dress here. And you can see I can only do so much of that before I have to come back here and get some new color, because every single brush stroke, with each and every brush stroke, it picks up some more of that. Picks up more of that purple. Now there, I don't mind if, see how that kind of just got a little bit subdued there at that. I do not mind. We'll let this go about to there. So you can see how it just kind of fades naturally by itself. I'm going to get some lighter highlights in here. We might just do that too. Yeah, let's pop a couple of them right here. Like so. I'm going to maybe get something lighter here on her, well, not really sleeves or the puffy shoulder things. That's a highly technical fashion term right there. Let me see. Oh, Angry Ham has to take off. Time to hug that pillow. Now, thanks for hanging out with us, Angry Ham. I always appreciate that. It is fun to have company while we do these things. Now, some of our little freehand pattern here, this has been, see, look at how I can easily go over the top of that now because it's been there, I think, a good half an hour or so since we last messed around with it. We're not doing this absolutely everywhere. We're just doing it in a few strategic locations. We're using strategery here in our freehand. Just trying to take advantage of these swirls. Maybe they look a little bit more like they are sewn on instead of just kind of sitting there. Base is kind of in my way there, so I'm going to move this just a little bit to get a better angle at it. So we're not doing the entire pattern, so we just did parts of it. It's kind of like our chain of highlights here on our metallic stuff. Now again, with the metallics, the only thing that matters is the reflection. What's in the environment around it? So what should this be reflecting? These two things are reflecting basically off of each other. We have to somehow show that. Let's see if we can show that. Let's get a little bit of more reflected light down here. I see I've got to actually thin that down even more. And see how that sticks now. But we need reflected light back here. It can't just go from light to dark here. It has to, we need that reflected light. These two things, surfaces literally bouncing off of each other. But with your non-metallic metals, as long as you know what the environment is, and the miniature just tells you what color to use. It just says, well, he's wearing red. You might want to reflect some red on your armor. Just saying, just a hint. Or he's carrying a glowing green sword. You might want to reflect a little bit of that green onto the metals. Hint, hint. We did the same thing on the other side. Let's go back here. Maybe not as pronounced as what we were doing on the front side of it.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Malin. It is appreciated. Let me see. Gandalf, he loves the follows too. More hobbits is more better. We'll do the same back here as we did on the front. We kind of do that chain of how we're going to start up here.
Little hobbits, spark my ganja.
Finish up right there. So we welcome in McGurk. Thank you so much for the follow. We'll do the same on the other side now. And I couldn't have done this even as recently as, say, 20 minutes ago. All this would have done was just kind of, it would have like bounced up. Just like here, I'm going to have to wait. I can't do this over here until that paint just has a good 5-10 minutes. We always call it, let it sit in the proving drawer. And that's sort of what we're doing here, is just letting that paint sit in the proving drawer. So now we've got, yeah, see our freehand pattern's got a little more life to it, a little more pizzazz. Now, remember the darker glazes we did on the little tassel skull here? Guess what? We can come back in here and we can start bringing back some of those lights again. It's with the oils, it can, especially when you're new to it, you get really excited. You're wanting to blend all the blends, do all the things, and you just kind of get out over the skis because it's just so exciting. And the next thing you know, you've just done way too much, and it either gets to mud or something that just gives you sad face. And that can be a little tough when you're first starting out, to just remember, you know what? I'm just going to put this here, and then I'm just going to stop. I'm going to go somewhere else, work on a whole different figure, or work on a different part of the figure. Just like what I'm adding here. None of that stuff sticks there. But now you see how we've got these chains. Look at this chain that goes all the way down here. Another chain that runs all the way along here. These chains of highlights. Let me see. Snow Trudger. I ran into that today. I need to prep multiple figs while I play with the oils. Yeah, why does everything suddenly look brown? Yeah, that's a little bit too much red-green. We love our red-green, but too much red-green makes sad face. And I want some more separation with that bluish color in the dress. So here's another little change that we're going to make as we get a little bit more of our crimson color in here. So see, and now let's get some separation here too. We might throw some more green in that area as well. Oh yeah, let's put some of that back here too. And some over here. Because that little bit of red, that's going to make our little bit of green there on the tree stand out. Speaking of reflected light, what's going to reflect there? Because we got this light here, and then all of a sudden it just kind of disappears in the dark. It can't just disappear in the dark. We have to have something else there. Speaking of green, let's have some maybe green to the rescue in there as a bit of a reflected light. You see what we just threw in there? That's probably reflecting her arm, which is right over here. So that's reflecting now onto the armor. And then we can even fade that a little bit. Maybe we get some more intense of a yellow here. So we're going to take some of our faux cadmium yellow. Let's do something in here. I don't know if that's going to be too thin or not thin enough. Looks like it's sticking there. Oh yeah, that is sticking there. That's good. That was just a little bit too much white. We're going to get rid of some of that. What the heck? Might even throw a little bit of it here on her wings. Color goes somewhere, it must go everywhere. Why not on the wings too? So it starts to tie things together. I mean, it is sort of it's all supposed to be magical anyways. Let's make it magical. And let's make this even more of a, yeah, more of a yellow here. Looking at you, thinking about reflected light. I think we're good there. We got our spots over here. A couple of things we can do with our spots, because I think it's been a good hour since we might have painted those. Let me see. When I first started using the Reaper clears, that happened to me all the time. It's telling the properties of each colors. Let me see. Snow Trudger. I don't have a lot of colors. I'm waiting for the rest in the mail. I looked at the clock and it's way past 1 a.m. here. Well, I'll catch you later, Keldon, and be sure you can watch all the VODs and the past episodes. Now, again, any brush can be a blending brush. So we got all of these. See all those sharp lines right there? Well, guess what? Those sharp lines are going to be a little less sharp. This is something you can't do with acrylics either. Look at what's happening here. So we'll do this side here and then compare it to this side here once we're done. Let's see, Patacanes. When is a miniature going to accompany... Yes, thank goodness for the VODs. Well, Patacane, I cannot confirm nor deny that there is a process underway. And one of the reasons why I've been getting all of these different... Well, there's been many reasons I've been getting all these different companies' oil paints. But one of the reasons is to just look at their properties, look at the pigments that are in them, and let's just say that something is actively being worked on, actually very intensely being worked on. I would say that the 2021 would be the goal for that, since we're pretty late into 2020 here. But something is actually being worked on. Now take a look at that. See the hard edges on that? You see how these edges are softer? Now we can make these even softer. I'm not going to wipe out every single edge. Not wiping out every single one, but look at how soft that is versus this over here. Oh, thanks, Patacane. There is a lot of R&D going on. Let's put it that way. Well, actually, now this I can say, it is directly related to all of you folks here in the Twitch community, because I was using oils on Facebook Live and on YouTube for, well, almost 3 years and about 5 months. And all of a sudden, we bring the oils to Twitch, and it's an entirely different universe. All of a sudden, you can't go anywhere without somebody, hey Jim, look what I got. Like tonight, how many folks in here have been talking about messing around with their oils either for the first time, or maybe they're just now kind of getting a grip on how they work and they're really starting to feel confident with them. All of the response on Twitch here is that's why there is R&D going on. Without all of you folks here on Twitch and this community, that does not happen. So that's the power of Twitch, I gotta say. Look at this, speaking of the power of oil, look at that. See how we didn't lose our dots, they're still there. But you see how they're more ghosty like that? Yes, Snow Trudger is a proud member of the oil painting community. Because to say there was resistance on YouTube would be the understatement of the millennium. And even on the social medias, there was a ton of resistance. It was to the point where I wasn't even sure if I should use oil paints on Twitch or not. That's how much resistance there was. Lo and behold, quite the different story here. So again, nice and soft. We can also do that with this freehand down here. Now, but the thing is, you see me keep going back here and clean out that brush, or at least get some of the old paint out of there. Well, guess what? We're going to do the same over here to some of this freehand. We're not wiping it out. We're just taking it and sort of getting rid of some of the extraneous brush strokes, smoothing some things out. Doesn't destroy the pattern stays there. Let's see, before I use them as a weathering tool, as a busy dad, they are much more fun to use. Well, the other thing too, and we Well, I found this out when I was using the acrylics, was on Saturday, is that if I stop to do anything, to get some water or to do film noir or something like that, next thing I know, I got dry paint sitting on my brush. There's dry paint sitting in the palette. So it's way easier for me like this, to come back later, and this would all just be dead and dry. If it was acrylics, it would be all gone. There's nothing I could do with it. But with the oils, my goodness, it actually allows me to do more interactions on Twitch. Because otherwise I just have to stick my nose in this and just be painting and not really be able to look at much anything else. So that is what I love about the oils, and the fact that this other guy right here, he's still just as workable. Everything that we're doing here, messing around with the wings, we can do that right on this guy too. I can hang out with my son for a while and come back and still a workable painting session. And I think, Patakin, you've heard me joke. That you're busy painting, you're having some good luck, and the next thing you know, you hear the loud sound and the kids yelling at each other and stuff, and you have to go do dad stuff. And by the time you come back, well, yeah, it's all dry. There's nothing you can do about it. So we just kind of doubled down on our green over here. Why don't we do that on this side? Now, I do have to add a little bit of my liquid to that. And you can see a little bit of the liquid makes that stick. Let's get ourselves a bigger blending brush. Oh, we got Orchrist Gaming in the house. So folks, be sure to give Orchrist Gaming the follows too. I'm guessing you probably already are. But if you're not, follows are free. Be sure to give Orchrist a follow. So I really, this is one of my favorite things about the oils at the Freehit, is just to go back like this and all those spots.
Spark my ganja.
Well, thank you so much, Timogen, for the follow. I appreciate that. We want to, do we want to get some more of that? Yes. And this is our barite green, which we also call berry white green. That's going to go over on this side. And yes, we are literally highlighting a deep reddish brown color with this crazy bluish green. Because, well, why not? Because that green, guess what? It's showing up everywhere. We're going to take our indigo here, and let's do some pin line glazing on the base here, if we can. And this really has to be thinned down. This is, I guess, the other thing that you can do with the oils too. Now I have to see if we've got it thin enough. Yes, I think we do. Yes, we do. And it just starts to, so that's kind of just seeping in to all of the cracks and the crevices there. We'll leave that over on this side. And not absolutely everywhere, just in some of these. Yeah, it starts to bring out the, with that, I don't know, like a mosaic tile texture almost here. Maybe even on this section. Let's just darken that down overall. Maybe we're going to throw a little bit of our brown matter into this. And along the edge here, let's get some staining on this. Let's get some staining on that. The edge of our marble. It's not like it was just freshly bought from Home Depot, then smashed with a hammer, and then laid on the ground. And you can do this when it's, obviously after it's all dry, but you can see it also works even when it's still wet. Even though it is still wet, we can. Now we have to be sort of careful when we're doing this here. Again, you can't just be brushing away it. If you do that, you're just going to quite literally wash away the paint that's already there. You don't want to do that. That is not what you want. Let's darken this to... the Tequilsons asks, with the oils, do you think going from brightest to darker would be easier? The oils really let you work both ways. With the acrylics, in some ways, well, it's easier to almost go, like you say, lighter to darker. But the oils, because they have so much in the way of opacity, especially in those lighter colors, I think the oils just give you more options. You can go either way with it. So those Sisters of Battle that I showed you, some of the oils were dry because, well, that was like 6 days of filming. So the oils definitely dried, which meant that I could do some glazing over the dry oils, which was really nice. So we'll set you down. And handily enough, guess what we'll be working on next? So we'll bring back the Sisters over here. Actually, no, wait a minute. We don't have to bring those back. We can do this guy. And this guy. So one of the things that we did later on in the process here with this guy is that we actually glazed some darker color, and all of the orange glow got brighter just because of that darker glaze. We did the same thing on this guy too. And that's what we're going to do on our... I guess he's a cleric. I mean, he looks an awful lot like a cleric. Just going to get something to drink 1 second. And again, that's what we did on the Sisters of Battle too. Same thing. I just want to make sure... Oh, a steak dinner. That sounds good. But when we work on that other guy, you'll see that either way is an option with the oils. I know I keep talking about it all the time, but that is just such a great thing about the oils, is that there's options. And either option can be just as good. I'm going to get me a little bit more of my lights here on some of these areas while I'm thinking about it. Now this tree here, I do believe that is in a state where I can go back over it now. It's been a little while since we messed with the tree freehand on here. We'll just lighten up a couple of areas on our tree. Hitting a couple of the branches so it looks like it has a little bit more depth to it instead of we just scribbled some green lines onto this thing. And maybe even have it follow some of the folds. So there, our tree looks a little bit more like it's following the lights and darks of the surfaces that it's on. Do we need to... Yeah, let's hit this again. Maybe we'll smooth this out a bit, just like we did with our spots over here. I'm just looking to smooth some of these areas out. That's what the oils do so well. They let you go back after the fact and smooth some things out. Here I can go back and see if I want to add some more lights here. I think up here we'll do the same. And I didn't mix any kind of special reddish color here to use as a highlight. I'm just going to throw whatever's on the brush that is lighter. And then we're just going to mix that in. We're going to take this brush. We're just going... Look at this. That was like a greenish white that now has been mixed in there. We got a little bit more of a highlight on the top of our wings.